Emma Chamberlain always said that recording her podcast felt like talking to a friend, even on the days she hadn't spoken to anyone else. On this particular morning, however, she was convinced she shouldn't have been recording at all. Everything inside her felt off. Her chest too tight, her thoughts too foggy, her voice too fragile. But deadlines didn't disappear just because she felt emotionally drained. They waited, they watched, they whispered reminders. She sat in her usual spot, the soft beige chair that seemed to swallow her whole, a mug of now cold matcha on the side table, headphones resting around her neck before she slid them on. She breathed in, breathed out, lifted her hands, and pressed the record button. The red light blinked, steady and inevitable. "Hey guys," she began, voice slightly raw. "Welcome back to another episode of Anything Goes." She paused. Something in her tone sounded wrong to her, too thin, too vulnerable. She cleared her throat. I've been thinking a lot lately about how complicated growing up is, about how messy it can be, about how some days you feel like the main character in your own story, and other days you feel like you're stuck being an extra in someone else's. She waited for her voice to settle. It didn't. She pulled her sweatshirt sleeves over her hands. It was a habit she had when she felt small. "Anyway," she said softly, "today we're doing a listener Q&A. You guys sent in so many questions, and I'm going to try to be open with you. Honest." She frowned. Honest felt dangerous today. She took another breath. "Let's get into it." She clicked on the first audio message. A cheerful voice filled her headphones. Someone asking about skincare, someone asking about her favorite coffee, someone asking about moving to LA. Safe topics. Easy. Her responses were routine, autopilot, almost mechanical. Then she clicked on another message, a moment of static. Then a quiet inhale. Then a shaky female voice. Young, probably 17, maybe 18. Hi, Emma." The girl sounded like she was holding her breath, as though speaking hurt. "I don't really know how to start this. I've recorded this message like 12 times, but I wanted to try again because I guess..." The girl laughed nervously. "I guess I just want to feel like someone hears me." Emma lowered her matcha, forgetting she was holding it. The girl continued. "Your podcast helped me a lot last year. You know, when things were really dark, I don't really talk about this to anyone in my life. They wouldn't get it. But when I listened to you, I felt like you understood." Emma felt her pulse quicken. "I'm in this place where I feel like I'm disappearing, like everyone around me has a life, and I'm kind of drifting through mine." A sniffle. "And I know you've talked about feeling depressed before, but I guess I never understood what that really meant until it happened to me. I can't tell if I'm sad or exhausted or numb or all of the above." Emma blinked slowly. Her throat tightened. The girl's voice dropped into a whisper. "And sometimes I feel like I'm failing at just existing." The words hit Emma with a force she hadn't expected. Something inside her caved, folding in on itself. "That's all," the girl said softly. "I just wanted to tell someone, anyone, and I thought maybe you'd understand." The audio cut off. Emma stared at the wall. A wave of cold ran up her spine, then down again. She didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't speak. Because she did understand, more than anyone could know. The red recording light kept blinking. She inhaled sharply, as if coming out of water. "Okay," she whispered, more to herself than to the audience. She wiped her palms on her sweatpants. Her breathing stuttered. "That one was..." She swallowed, trying to steady her voice. "That one was heavy." She tried to keep it together, to stay professional, to pretend her chest wasn't collapsing inward. "Let me just hold on." She muted her microphone. The room was silent. She pressed her hands to her face, fingers trembling against her skin. Tears threatened but didn't fall yet. She'd gotten very good at not letting them fall. She had heard hundreds of messages from listeners before, some emotional, some painful, some heartfelt. But this one felt like listening to her younger self, the version of Emma that lived behind the camera, the version that smiled and filmed and edited while privately trying to negotiate with her own mind. She turned the mic back on. "Okay," she said, clearing her throat. "I think I want to talk about this." She leaned forward, elbows on knees, voice lowered. "Not because I have the answers. God, if anything, I'm just as confused and lost and messy as you are. But something about your message," she exhaled. "It felt familiar in a way that scares me a little." She took off one headphone cup so she could hear her own shaky breathing. I used to feel like that all the time, like I was disappearing, like everyone else had some kind of manual to life that I didn't get, like I wasn't built correctly. She laughed bitterly under her breath. And the thing is, I didn't tell anyone either. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want people to worry or freak out. I just kept everything inside until I started to fall apart in places nobody could see. Her hands trembled slightly. She tucked them under her legs to hide the shaking. When you said you felt like you were failing at existing, it reminded me of this version of myself that I try so hard not to think about. The girl who sat on her bedroom floor at 17 wondering why she couldn't just be normal, why everything felt heavy, why she felt heavy. A tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it. God, she whispered, I didn't think I'd cry today. She sniffled and laughed at the same time, a small, sad laugh. Here's the thing, she said quietly. You're not failing, you're hurting, and those are not the same thing. You're exhausted because life can be exhausting. You're numb because your brain is protecting you from something you're not ready to feel. You feel invisible because the world doesn't always know how to look for people who are fading. She paused, breathing shakily. But you are here. You're here. And that alone means you're not gone. Not really. Emma leaned back and stared at the ceiling, as if searching for words there. You said you wanted someone to hear you, she whispered. I hear you. Not the influencer version of me, not the internet persona. Me, the kid who used to cry in the school bathroom and pretend she had allergies. The girl who felt like a ghost in her own life. She wiped at her cheek with the sleeve of her hoodie. I get it. She let the silence hang for a long moment, letting her breathing slow. I want to tell you something that took me years to learn. Her voice steadied slightly. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not behind. You're not dramatic or attention-seeking or too much. You're a human being going through something really, really hard, and there's nothing shameful about that. The red recording light blinked again. Emma hesitated. Actually, she said suddenly, I think I need a second. I'll be right back. She pressed pause. She stood up, pacing the room, fingers in her hair. She thought about scrapping the whole episode, pretending this moment never happened, editing out the messy parts, hiding the fact that a stranger's pain had cracked her open so quickly. But no, something inside her, something old, something quiet, something that had been waiting, told her not to run from this. She sat down again, unpaused the recording. This time her voice was steadier. I'm back, she murmured, and I'm going to be real with you guys. That message hit me harder than anything I've ever gotten from a listener. She let out a shaky laugh. It's crazy. I spent years pretending I was fine, pretending I was okay, pretending I knew what I was doing. And hearing that girl, it felt like looking in a mirror I've avoided for a long time. She leaned closer to the mic. I want to say something directly to her and to anyone else who feels the way she does. A breath. You deserve to be here. Another breath. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to be perfect or productive or positive. Existing is hard enough sometimes, and the fact that you're still trying, still fighting, means you're stronger than you think. Her voice trembled again. And if today is one of those days where you feel like you're slipping, I want you to know you're not slipping alone. I promise. Her eyes filled again. God, I really didn't want to cry on the podcast, she said with a watery laugh. But maybe this is good. Maybe this is what I needed. Maybe this is what she needed. She wiped her face again. I don't know your name, she said, addressing the girl's message. But I hope you're listening. I hope you know that talking about this doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave. You reached out. You didn't disappear. You chose to be heard. Her voice softened. You remind me of someone I used to be, someone I wish I could go back and hug, someone I wish I could tell, you're going to make it out, even on the days you're sure you won't. She paused, swallowing a lump in her throat. I hope you find whatever it is you need. I hope you let people in. I hope you stop carrying everything alone. And I hope someday you talk about this part of your life in the past tense. She let her head rest on her hand. I think that's enough for today. She reached toward the equipment, but hesitated. Actually, she said softly, before I stop recording, I want to say thank you to her, to all of you for trusting me with your stories, for letting me be human, for letting me be honest. Her eyes closed, and for reminding me that I'm still here too. She clicked the stop button. The recording ended. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It felt like breathing fresh air after sitting underwater for too long. Emma leaned back in her chair, staring at her reflection in the dark screen of her laptop. Her eyes were red, her hair messy, her cheeks blotchy. But for the first time in a long time, she recognized herself, and that was enough.